William Wegman, Jolla Vista View, 1988.
Bill Wegman is mostly known for his very funny and quite beautiful photographs where he uses his Weimaraners in various poses. But he is also a really interesting painter and draftsman. He does very amusing drawings. And I ran into him in a party in Los Angeles, and I said, "Do you ever think about outdoor sculpture, or have you ever done any outdoor sculpture?" And he said, well, he had as a graduate student, and like every other artist. And I said, well, would you be at all interested in coming to San Diego and looking around? At the Stuart Collection, we like to think of artists who are doing interesting work and are thinking in ways that are different, that have not necessarily had any experience in what is known as public art. So when Bill came, we walked around and got to the southern end of the campus. There wasn't really a promontory, but there was a hill looking out over the world beyond the university, out toward all of this condo and commercial development. And he thought, this is kind of interesting. And maybe he would make a parody of a road sign scenic overlook. So then we went around to all the parks in San Diego and checked out what their qualities were and what the physical attributes of those things were. We made this sort of platform for this big bronze plaque. The bronze plaque has depicted on it exactly what you're looking at, but it's what you were looking at in 1986. And since then, of course, there's been a whole lot of development. So it becomes a kind of time marker of what this used to look like.
So Bill's original idea, as Mary mentioned, was to create this very ironic, scenic overlook, which is not necessarily scenic at all, because what it's overlooking is urban sprawl. It's the uncontrolled development of San Diego suburbia. So that's the idea. It's pretending we're in a national park, and it's got a descriptive plaque and a telescope, etc., showing something that is, in theory at least, not very pretty. But it turns out over the years, as time has gone by, what we were looking at way back then when it was built in 1988 was much more of a construction site than it is now. It's now developed. And through that development, the greenery has come up. And so we're looking at a vista that is much more green than it originally was. It's much more, in a way, beautiful. It's much more knitted together. And in that sense, I think, unexpectedly, the piece has a kind of a hopeful side to it. It has a positive side to it. It's not just this straightforward irony. It's also something that has evolved into something that's much more positive. And also the piece itself has evolved as a kind of amenity for the building, or the several buildings now that are adjacent to it. The benches have been rearranged. There's another table. This idea has really sort of made a home for itself and done things that were not originally intended.